Hello everyone. So let's start with our Python series. This is the very first lecture of Python. Okay. So we will be discussing about the introduction part, then the variables and the data types. Okay. These many things are, we are going to discuss these many things in this particular lecture. Okay. And I hope that all of you are able to understand whatever I'm saying. Okay. So let's start with Python. So basically, when we comes to Python, what is this Python? So as you all know, this is a programming language, right? So let's discuss about the programming languages in general. Okay, so what is a programming language? Programming language means normally, for example, now I'm communicating with you in the English language, right? So you are able to understand what I'm trying to say. Yes or no? Yes. So this is the mode of communication. Whatever is there in my mind, I am trying to convey those things in the English language to you people. So since both of us are able to understand English, we are able to get what I am trying to say, you are able to get the point. So, the same manner, when we want to interact with a computer or let's say a machine, we need programming languages. Okay. So, as you all know, these programming languages is actually classified into mainly three categories, right? So, what is this machine? What the machine is able to understand? Okay, so the machine is able to understand machine language. So, machine language means what is this machine language? Machine language will be in the form of zeros and ones, right? So, 0 and 1 in the sense it's not the exact digit 0 and 1 it is able to understand. Actually, the 0 and 1 represents the current, whether there is power or not. So we will represent this as 0 and 1. That means low voltage and high voltage, low current and high current. Okay. So every machine, not just the computer, not just your mobile phone, every gadgets you are using can understand only this thing, whether there is power or not. So that we will call it as the machine language. Now just imagine that I am communicating with you people in zeros and ones. So instead of saying hello, I'll be saying 000111110001111. Will you be able to understand anything? No. Why? Because we cannot communicate in the form of zeros and ones. We can't decode that zeros and ones and convert back to our ideas. That is not possible. Okay, so the first classification is the machine language, which the machine will be able to understand. Next is the intermediate language. So actually what happens is when we are trying to interact with the computer, we cannot interact in this machine language, right? So we will be interacting in the high level language. For example, the language that we are going to learn, Python. Okay, so this is a high level language. This is almost similar to the English language. We will be using a lot of English words itself. Okay, so it's almost, we can understand, humans can understand that. Now, if we communicate, for example, in front of me, there is this laptop. To this laptop, I'm communicating in English. Will it be able to understand? No, it cannot decode that. So, from this high level language, we have to convert this to the low level language, right? So, how it works actually? So, Python is the source code which we will be writing. Okay, so this is the high level language. So, Python is actually the high level language. Now, this high level language, we will be giving this to the machine. Okay, so when it reaches to the machine, it will not be able to understand what we are saying, right? So, there in between, one more thing will come to convert our high level language to the machine level language, or whatever we are saying in, let's say, in Python, that will be converted to the zeros and ones. For that, we will be using a translator. Okay, so this job is done by this intermediate language, or we will call it as the assembly language. Okay, so I hope that you are getting my point. So this translator will help us to convert our high level language to the machine level language. Okay, so for example, imagine that we are going to, let's say, France, we are going. Okay, or otherwise we are going to Germany. So there, German is the language that people are using, right? But we don't know German. So what we will do? We will get a guide there. And what the guide will do? Whatever we are communicating in English, they will convert to the German language. And whatever their local people will be talking, let's say they are talking in German. So that German, whatever they are conveying in that language, that will be converted back to the English language. That is how we will communicate with the people where we don't know that particular language, right? So that is done by the guide. Same here, when it comes to high level to the machine level language, a translator will come, either compiler or interpreter. When it comes to Python, we are talking about the interpreter. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, now let's see what is Python? So as you all know that Python is actually a high level programming language. Okay. So this actually we can understand, humans can understand that. That is why we are writing the program, whatever instruction we want to do. Okay. Whatever instruction we want to give to the computer. Okay. That will be given in this high level programming language. Here we are going to discuss about Python. There are different high level programming languages, right? For example, C, Java, C++, then JavaScript, Python, all these are the high level programming language. Now, this is actually very simple and easy language. For example, imagine you are learning a programming language for the very first time. Okay, you are a complete beginner. You never heard about a programming language. Okay, and you are starting with this particular lecture. No worries, you can start. Why? Because this is very simple and easy to understand. Okay, and then it's a free and open source language. That means anyone can download it, anyone can use it. It's not a paid language. Okay, there is no need to pay money for getting it. So it's a free and open source language. Open source in the sense, if for example, imagine after learning all the basics and all those things, later you feel like okay, you want to solve a particular issue. For that, you are developing your own modules and all. So you can give it. So anyone can modify those things. So that's why we are saying that it's a open source language. Okay. Next is it's portable. What do you mean by portable? Portable in the sense, imagine a person A is there, okay, and a person B is there. Person A is working, let's say, in the Windows operating system, and person B, let's say, Mac OS. Okay, so these are two different operating systems. Now, person A is writing a program. So let's say hello is the program name, what they are writing. Okay, so hello.py. This source code, what happens? You are writing it in Windows. Now, without making any change, for example, this person A is sharing his or her code to the person B. Now, person B, without making any change in this program hello.py, in this file, without making any kind of changes, he can run it in the Mac OS. That is why we are calling it as portable language. Okay, so you write it in one system or one operating system. Okay, but you can run it in different operating systems like Mac OS, Linux, whatever you want. Okay, without making any change. That is why we are saying it's portable language. Okay, and who developed this? This was developed by Guido van Rossum, and he actually, as you know, right, this was like a Monty Python's comedy show. So based on that only, he gave this name Python for this particular language, whatever he built. Okay, so it was developed by him. Okay, so that's all about the introduction part, like the very peripheral things, outline part about the Python. Now, let's develop our very first program, that is, all of you know, right? Whenever we are developing a programming language, not developing, whenever we are learning a programming language, okay, sorry for that. Whenever we are learning a programming language, what is the very first program that we will be learning? It's simply printing the hello world. Okay, so here, I'm not going in depth with about all these things. Let's see, if I run this particular program, my output will be whatever I am giving inside this print function. Okay, so hello world. Then in the same manner you will get. After that, there is an exclamation mark. So that also you will be getting. So this will be the output of this particular programming, this particular program. Okay, so we will do one thing. We will just get, we will we will run this program itself. Okay, so whatever we are learning, we should run it, right? So here I'm going to run it in Visual Studio Code. Okay, anyways, if you are not aware with this, this is an IDE, Integrated Development Environment, where I will write my program as well as I can see the output also. Okay, so if you want to install it, there is another video for that. You can watch that. Okay, so here we can see there is new file. I'm just creating a new file. So here, I'm getting Python file. So I'm taking the Python since I installed Python. Okay, so you have to install both Python and VS Code also. Now here I will run that particular program. So print, I'll simply print, let's say, hello world with an exclamation mark. Okay, let's give 3. Now what I need to do is I have to save this file. Okay, so I'm going to save this file in a folder. In any folder they will be asking, so you can choose your file path. Okay, in any folder. So here I'll give the name as file name is test. Extension will be automatically py. Okay, that is Python file. Okay, now here is the run button. So I have to just tap on that. You can see here my output is hello world. Whatever I'm giving in the double quotes, it is printing as such. Okay, so instead of hello world, let's give learn joy. Okay, so now if I run this, you can see after saving, when you run it, you can see learn joy. So whatever I am giving in that print, inside the double quotes, whatever I gave, that is coming as the output. Okay, I hope you are getting my point. So this is how we will do, we are done with our first program, right? So hello world program. Now let's discuss about the Python character set. Okay, so in Python, what all things are there? First of all, letters are there. A to Z, lowercase, as well as A to Z, uppercase is also there. Okay. Then we have digits, of course, 0 to 9. Actually, whatever is there on your keyboard, okay, everything will be there in your this inside the Python character set. Then you will be having the special symbols, okay, like at the rate, hash symbol, dollar symbol, whatever it is, everything will be there in the special symbols category. Then we have white spaces. So white spaces include, right, one white space, tab space is there, new line will be there. All this comes under the white space category only. And then we have the other characters where Python can process the ASCII code, ASCII value, and also the Unicode characters. Okay, how to get the ASCII values and all those things for a particular character and all, we will see later. But as of now, inside this character set, everything comes. Okay. Now, let's discuss about the variables. What do you mean by a variable? Simply, what's a name? For example, when we were learning maths, variables we will learn, right? So what is this variable? For example, if I write, let's say x is equal to 10. So x, I will consider it as a variable in which the value is 10. This is a normal mathematical expression that we will be using, right? Now let's take another variable, let's say 20. Now if I write, let's say a is equal to x plus y. This kind of like normal equations we have seen in our normal mathematics class, right? So here, what we are doing, we were giving the value 10 to the variable x, 20 to the variable y. Now, whatever I am doing, so x plus y in the sense 10 plus 20, the value will be assigned to the variable a. So, what happens? What's the value here? What's the value? 10 plus 20. 30 will be assigned to the variable a. Okay, I hope now that instead of that red color, this is little more better because you will be able to read it properly, right? Yeah. So anyways, so a is equal to 30. Now the value 30 will be assigned in the variable called a. So for example, initially x is 10. Later, if I want to change the value of x as, let's say, 40, it is possible. That is why we are calling it as variable, which might change the value, which might vary the value. So changes are allowed in a variable. Okay. So when it comes to the programming, Variable means it's actually a name given to a particular memory location. For example, here I told you x is equal to 10. So what is happening? Inside the memory, a location is allocated for the variable x, inside which the value will be 10. Okay. So what is the name x? X is the name. X is the name given to this particular memory. So for example, memories will be always hexadecimal value. So let's say 0x100. So this is the address. So for this particular address, I gave the name as x. Okay. Now here is a program. So I have three variables. Name, inside which I gave the value as LearnJoy. Now I have another variable called age, inside which I gave the value 123. And I have another variable called the CGPA, inside which I give the value as 9.3. Okay. So again, let's come back to our coding. So we will do the same thing and let's see what will happen when we run this particular program. Okay. So just a minute. Yeah. So what I told you, first of all, let's give a variable called name inside which we are giving LearnJoy. Okay. And then another variable, let's say age equals, I'm giving, let's say 23. And then again, another one more variable, let's say CGPA, inside which I was giving the value 9.3. Okay. Now what I need to print these values. Okay. For example, let's print. So how we were giving the print? Here already it is there. Print hello world and all we did it, right? LearnJoy also we did it. So here we can see I have to give it in the double quotes. So let's see. In double quotes, I am giving name. Okay. In double quotes, I am giving, let's say, age. Okay, the same manner, print. Again, in double quotes, I am giving, let's say, CGPA. Okay, if I give like this, what will happen? And now, again, let's save it and let's run this program and see what is going to happen. See, you can see I got the output. First of all, there was a print. So whatever I gave inside that print line, so that is my very first output. After that, I am printing name. But what I want, it is printing that word itself. Name, age, CGPA. All that words is printed the same manner. But what I want the values which is assigned to this particular location. I don't want name, age, CGPA to be printed like that. But instead, whatever value is assigned, I have to print that. So what I need to do, I have to remove this double quotes. Okay. So let's remove this double quotes and see whether it will work or not. Okay. Whether we will be getting the values assigned. So values assigned are like enjoy 23, 9.3. So let's see that whether we are getting it or not. Okay. Yes. This time I'm getting it. See. First of all, this was the very first print, so that is printed as such. Next, I am printing the name. At the time, what is the value that I assigned to this variable? I am getting that. Okay, LearnJoy. Then print age. So instead of printing the word age, I am getting the value 23. Okay, CGPA, I'm getting it as 9.3. So I'm getting it properly now. So if you want to get the value of any particular variable, you should not use that double quotes. If you are using double quotes, whatever is inside the double quotes, it will print as such. Okay. Now let's do one thing. I have to print, let's say, let's give my output here itself. Okay. So that you can see also. So I want the output in the form, like let's say, my name is, and then I have to print, let's say, LearnJoy. My name is LearnJoy. And in the next line, let's say, my age is 23. Okay, like this, I want the output. Okay, next line, let's say, my CGPA is 9.3. Like this, I want the output. So, what should I do? Okay, so let's do one thing. So just above this printing the name, let's give my name is. Okay, that is what I want along with my value. So I have to give it in double quotes. So let's say my name is. And now let's run this and see whether it is working properly. Okay. Yes, I'm getting my name is, but the value that LearnJoy is, that is actually that value I'm getting it in the next line. But what I want it in the same line. So what's the solution? Okay. So what I'll do here is just before this name. Okay. So in double quotes, just before comma name I'm giving. Okay. I'm just simply giving comma name. Now here I'll give my name is. Okay. Now let's run this. Now I don't want this line. Okay. So I'm going to, let's say, remove it. Okay. Now let's run this and see whether I'm getting the output in the single line. Yes, this time I'm getting the output in same line. Now the same manner you can give like here also in double quotes what you have to give. My age is, then after the double quotes a comma is required. The same manner here also you have to give the same manner. My CGPA is, okay, then comma. Now if I run this, what you will be getting? You will be getting everything in the same line. You can see in single lines. So far everything clear? Okay, this is how you will be getting it. Okay, now what I want is, I want to print name, age, CGPA, everything in the single line. And I don't want like a sentence like my name is, my age is, that and all. I don't want. I just want to print it in a single line. Okay, like let's say the name here is LearnJoy. Then I want, sorry, yeah. Then I want the comma 23. Then I want 9.3. Everything in a single line I want. So what I need to do? Okay, there is no need of that like comma. Simply everything in the single line like this. What I should do then? So simply let's give print name, comma, age, comma, CGPA. Now let's run this and see whether it is working or not. Yes, see everything I am getting in the single line. Is that is clear? Okay, so this is how we will use the variables. Okay, so for example, age is 23 initially. Later, I am making, let's say, age equals 24 because every year age will be changing, right? Now, when I print age, what will be the output? Will it print 23 or 24? I'll give you 10 seconds of time to find the answer. Exactly. So this time value got updated. Earlier it was 23, but now it is 24. So if I print at this particular time in line number 6, the value is changed as 24. Whereas just after this, okay, just after this, if I simply print age means what will be the output? So let's run and see. Yes, this time I got 23 because when I was printing it on the fourth line, at that time age was 23 only. But later I changed in line number 6 is 24 and that is why latest value of age I got it as 24. Okay, so this is how variables will work. Okay, now I'll give you one more thing. Okay, so let's remove all these things. Okay, instead of printing the name and all this like this, I'll give you another one twisting kind of thing. Okay, so I'll call another function. So functions and all we will discuss in detail later. So simply let's print type of name. Okay, and then let's print type of age. Okay, and then let's print the type of let's say CGPA. Okay, so here I'm not printing the value. I'm not even printing it in double quotes, but instead I am using another one kind of function, just like our print thing, right? So here I am using type of like this. Okay, so inside this type of, I was giving my variable name. So what will happen if I do like this? Okay, let me clear all these things. So what will be the output if I do like this? So let's run this and see what is happening this time. Yes, see, I got the output as class str, class int, Okay, first time when I was printing Learnjoy. After that, you can see the very first print is type of name. So there I got class str. So for name, I got str. For age, I got it as int. For CGPA, I got it as float. So what is this? So let's have a look into all these values. So let's take name. So name, you can see that I'm giving it in double quotes. A lot of characters are there. So str in the sense it is string. Okay, that means name is a string type of variable. Okay, next I was printing type of age. What is the value I'm giving in age? 23. 23 is an integer variable. So that is why I was getting it as integer. Okay, we will read it int int, that we will read it as integer. Okay, it's a short word for integer. Then CGPA. For CGPA, I was giving 9.3 as the value. Okay, so by default, Python understood that it is float. Normally, in other languages and all, we have to mention the type also. For example, if you want to mention age, you have to mention it as in the age. Whereas in Python, I was simply giving age is equal to 23. So by looking at the value 23, Python will automatically understand, yes, age is an integer type of variable. Okay, so this is how we got all these outputs. All these outputs. Okay, so now actually we will just come back, and what we were discussing? We were discussing about the data types. Okay, so what are the data types? So this is a string type. Okay, this is an integer type, and this is a floating point. Floating point in the sense, you know, right? Decimal values. You will be having the decimal numbers. After decimal, there will be some values. Okay, now the variables. So let's see about the rules of these variables. How to name a variable. For example, here I used name, age, CGPA. All the letters were in lowercase. So let's see, there are certain rules for this variable names. Not just for variable names, for identifiers. Identifiers in the sense, in order to, we are using identifiers in order to identify something. Okay, so here we are using it to identify my variable. So these are the rules. So identifiers can have a combination of letters, both lowercase and uppercase. And Python is actually a case sensitive language. Okay, what do you mean by case sensitive? For example, I can write age variable like this, everything in uppercase. Now everything in lowercase. Now mix of uppercase and lowercase. Now when it comes to Python, it will consider these three as three different variables. Getting my point? Normally, as a human, we will consider, okay, all these are the same word. But Python will consider this as three different variables because it is case sensitive. Uppercase A is different from lowercase a. Like that only it will consider. Okay. So you can have lowercase as well as uppercase letters inside your identifier names. Along with that, you can have digits also. Okay. So for example, if I write, let's say, age 1, this is valid. I was using variable, I mean letters as well as digits also. This is a valid name. Okay. But if I do like this, for example, 1 age, this is not valid. Okay. Why? Because identifier cannot start with a digit. Here actually in the starting, the very first position itself, I gave 1 as the number. So that is not possible. Now, keywords cannot be used as identifiers. Now, what is this keywords? We will discuss. Okay. So keywords in the sense like reserved words. Okay. So these are the reserved words. For example, when we open our normal English dictionary, you know, there are a lot of words, right? For example, the word rule. Let's take the word rule. That word is having certain meaning, right? So if you convert that word to any other language also, the same meaning is conveyed, right? So all these words, all these English words, when you open your dictionary, every word have its own meaning. Okay, all those are actually the words in the English language. Likewise, there are certain words in Python language also. So we will call it as the keywords. All these keywords are specifically meant to have certain meanings. So we cannot use those words for identifier names. Okay, I hope you are getting it. Now, we cannot use all these special symbols inside our variable name, and you cannot use space characters also inside variable name. For example, age 1 without space is okay. Age space 1 is not valid. Okay, so these are the rules for identifiers, not just for variable names. Later you will discuss, or we will discuss about, let's say, functions. Okay, then functions, then we will be discussing about the class. Okay, all these things. For all these things also we will be giving the names. So the names given to any kind of entity, we can call it as the identifiers. Okay, so these are the rules for the identifiers. Now, as you all know, we were discussing about that data types, right? So as you know, data types, integers we have seen, then float we have seen, then we have seen string, right? So these three we already saw, all these data types are there in Python. Then we have Boolean also, and we have none also. Now let's discuss about the Boolean also. So let's do a code for Boolean in order to store a Boolean value. So Boolean values, in the sense, you can have either true or false. For example, in the variable called age, I mentioned it as true. Okay. Now, when I am printing the type of age, what will be the value we will be getting? So I made the age value as Boolean. So here you can see I got the output as class Boolean. So bool, in the sense, it's a short word for Boolean. Okay. So Boolean variables can have only two values, either true or false. Now, first letter should be in the uppercase. T and F, that should be in the uppercase. If you give, let's say, here instead of T in the uppercase, you are marking it as lowercase. Okay. Now, if I run this program, you will be getting error. See here, error. True is not defined, because that word true with uppercase, that is actually a reserved word. Just now we were discussing about the keyword now. So that is a reserved word. So you can use that only. Then only you will be getting output, otherwise you will get an error. Okay. Same manner, let's say x equals, let's give the value as none. Okay, none means nothing. No values are stored inside that. It's just a space only. The memory is allocated, but you don't have a value inside x. Okay. Now I'm just trying to print the type of x. Now let's run this and see. Yes, class none type. That means there is no values inside that location. So these are the main data types inside Python language. So I hope that all these things are clear to you. Okay. So as you know, keywords in Python. So let's see how many keywords are there in Python. So these are the main keywords used in Python. So as you all know, just now we have seen, right, true, and then we have seen false also, right? So true and false, these are actually the keywords. So whatever manner it is given, the same manner we have to give. F should be first character. If it's the first character, that is the uppercase letter. If you are making it as lowercase, it will not work. The same thing for none, true, and all these things. There is no need for actually, if you know the meaning of all these keywords in Python, that's it. Python is completed. But we will not be discussing all these things one by one. What we will be doing is we will be learning all these concepts along with that. For example, now itself we learned three words, right? False, none, and true. You know the use also. Likewise, while completing each lectures one by one, then we will be learning each of these keywords also. By that we will be, I mean, that is how we are going to learn it. Okay. So I hope that all these things are clear. So that's the end of this first lecture. So what all things we completed in this first lecture? What all things we were discussing? So we discussed about what all things? Yes, exactly. So we discussed about what is Python, what is a programming language, okay, how it is working, all these things we discussed, right? So Python actually, as you all know, the programming language classification, first of all, we discussed high level, low level, and then we discussed about the machine language also. Exactly. So high level language, low level language, machine level language, all these things we discussed. And then we discussed about the how the Python is working, right? And then we discussed about the very first program in Python, the Hello World program we discussed, and then we discussed about the variables, right? And then we discussed about the rules to give the variable names in general identifiers, and then we discussed about data types as well as keywords. So I hope that this first lecture is clear to you, all of you. Okay, so let's end the session today. That's it. Thank you, everyone. I hope that all this lecture you were able to understand in detail about Python. Thank you so much. Let's meet in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.